Hey, Bigfoots of Michigan coming at you. Today we're at the Murphy Lake State Game Area. The reason we're here is going back, I think it was about a year ago, I got contacted by a gentleman who had lived in the Millington area and had been back here to the Murphy Lake State Game Area and had seen Sasquatch back here multiple times, heard them doing the samurai chatter, footprints on the shorelines. There's some sand dunes around here we got to find. We'll do that in the spring when the snow's gone. But yeah, had found footprints out there, and he just threw out his life. He had since moved away and moved back, but he was the first one who told me about this area. Now, that was a light bulb going off because we've had sightings in Vassar, in Mayville. We just had that 14-footer, up here in, I think, Dayton Township, just south of Carroll. Multiple sightings in Carroll. And then I was driving through Otter Lake one time, and I'm like, oh my goodness, the ponds and the rivers back here and the steep hills. So I stopped into the Otter Lake bar. I talked to Kay and got a bunch of information from the bartender Kay. And we're going to head back out to Otter Lake this spring as well and do an overnight there because she has heard the howls and the screams back at the Otter Lake out by the old psychiatric hospital, the big old water tower. So all that's going on. I'm making that video a couple weeks ago, and another Sasquatch eyewitness from Millington gets a hold of me and tells me that she has seen Sasquatch as well in this area. So got a hold of Matthew Sexton here. We're here today. We're taking a look around, and we are definitely going to be here this spring doing an overnight. But so glad Matthew came along. He noticed a couple of things about this area as well, and he's had a recent sighting too with 3 of them, I think. Go ahead and tell us your story.
Yeah, so the first week of bow season, I went out on a Thursday and I did an overnighter. I got there kind of late. I went hiked back. I think it was a mile and a half in.
Okay.
I took all my gear with me, and then I didn't get camp set up till about 8, 9 o'clock that night. And then after I got set up, got my firewood, got settled down, the woods, it was one of them nights. The woods just came alive that night. I had raccoons fighting by my tent. I had coyotes howling. And then I heard Sasquatch howling like 4 or 5 times. So then I was alone. I ended up doing a call back to them and a tree knock. And I heard 3 of them walk in, all making low, short calls to each other. And they came up about 25 feet from me. They stayed out of the campfire light. Because I guess it blinds them, I don't know. So then I just sat there, and then I was hoping they'd come sit by me, but they didn't end up doing that. They just stood there and watched me for a minute. I looked up, and the 3 calls were the same height, and they were all about 10 feet, about 9, 10 feet in the air. So they were all about the same height. They were full grown. And then they watched me about 2 minutes, and they stayed quiet, and then I just heard them walk off, and then they all started making their calls back and forth to each other as they moved off. And then, yeah, it was awesome. And then the deer hunting in the area didn't affect them at all. They still acted like they always do. I might have had more activity because going out there to deer hunt.
Okay. And you said you liked this area. There's something in particular you said about how the trails are low and they can have vantage points or something?
Yeah, they always like to take the tactical advantage. When they move in and let you know of their presence, with me, what they've done is they always have the tactical advantage before making their presence known. I'll be at a low point, they'll be on a hill, and then they'll surround me. There'll be 1 or 2 on a hill, and then there'll usually be one across the water source, and they'll all knock or make calls to each other. And it's strategic. I don't know what it is. I think it's to make sure I'm not a threat.
Okay.
They move in, they make sure I'm not a threat, and then I just stay calm, let them do their thing. Well, I'll talk to them now. Like if I'm fishing or something, I'll be like, you gotta let me know if you want to fish. I don't want to waste the fish. And then I'll just try and ignore them and keep doing my thing.
Awesome.
But they definitely seem to like the tactical advantages.
Okay. Okay, and then we're also going to try to find out if there's any natural springs in the area as well, because they love that. We know that. And right now we're going to head to our second location, sighting location in the Murphy Lake State Game Area. All right, so this is the location where they've been seen at. This is beautiful. It's got a steep hill with pines right there. But this is the location where they were seen. This whole creek kind of snakes around. Just kind of fell through the ice a little bit. Got to be careful. Yeah, so it wraps around like a snake. Very beautiful back here for sure. All right, so Bigfoots of Michigan, Bigfoots of America, coming at you again a second time today. We're at the second location at the Murphy Lake State Game Area. Matthew Sexton's over there. We're trying to find a trail, but this is an actual sighting location. So right back behind me, you can't see it, there's a creek, and it just kind of snakes through and connects to the lake. I think it's outflowing from the lake and coming through here. I'll have to double check on the flow of the creek. But right there is where a gentleman saw, he said at least 3 of them, maybe 4, and he actually has had an ongoing sighting kind of relationship with them, and he believes that there's a nest back in here at the Murphy Lake State Game Area. Now that was years ago. So with the recent sighting encounter from a local woman, we believe they're still here. We believe they're just moving up and down these areas through the Murphy Lake State Game Area, probably all the way up to Cairo, down to Otter Lake, maybe even Columbiaville, getting down towards some of the other towns. Otisville, I think, is another one. So yeah, this whole area, then moving up to the Cass River, then up the Cass River to the Minden City Swamp, and then down the Black River. There's so much activity. We never even dreamed that there'd be this much activity here in the Thumb. But that's what's going on. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll make sure we get this video released. And yeah, stay tuned for more of Bigfoots of Michigan and Bigfoots of America.